So how many regenerations does the Master have? Today, we finally give you the answer in the finale of this 4-part series where we see 4 of the craziest incarnations and regenerations that the Master has ever seen today on the Doctor Who Guide. The best box set that you can buy for Doctor Who. Hey guys, welcome back to the Doctor Who Guide, helping you grow your knowledge collection and connection with other Doctor Who fans. If you're new here and that sounds like something you want to do, then definitely hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell because we have new videos coming out every single Saturday. I'm your host, Alex Pedersen, and I want to give a huge shout out to Rob from the YouTube channel IceLord99. He's the one who gave me this idea and got the initial research started, and for TARDISWikia.com. They truly were an incredible help in this. There was so much that I quoted from their articles, so big shout out and thanks to them. Definitely check them out. And also, spoiler warning, any Master related audios, comics, books, and TV episodes will be spoiled in this episode. So, fair warning, let's dive right into the video where we're currently on the 16th incarnation of the Master with 10 new regenerations left, at least 4. The Master ends up in the body of a young Asian child, and yet it doesn't stop him from being like a creepy, evil mastermind. I mean, this kid was really messed up and loved the idea of violence and war, but he wasn't against the idea of teaming up with the War Doctor. And they do have a couple adventures together in the comic set during the Time War. The duo travel in the Doctor's TARDIS together, although they do eventually end up finding the Master's TARDIS, at which point he uses a distraction to escape in his TARDIS. However, by doing that, he unwittingly creates a paradox, which is not good. How he got out of that, I don't know, but I do know that he runs into yet another paradox. And I quote from TARDIS Wikia, "A chronal tumor began to react with the silent songbox. Realizing that it would result in a temporal bomb, the Master deactivated it. The Master was too late, however, and the resulting paradox caused his body to regenerate." So the Master is now on his 17th incarnation with 9 new regenerations left, at least 3 regenerations left. This Master most likely looked like Derek Jacobi. The Master's TARDIS recorded that the Master fled the event horizon in his TARDIS before the Doctor's plans were carried out, deeming them too insane even for him. And I love the undertone of that. It's just like the Master who's crazy, he's just come out of being this like scary child who's like, yeah, I love violence, to like realizing that the Time War and all the violence that was going on there, like he didn't stay in there in the Time War as long as the Doctor did. Like the Doctor was in it through thick and thin, but he was scared by it, and he was like, he's like, I want there to be a universe for me to rule after all of this. So I just think it's really cool to see that development. This Master fought against the Daleks on the slopes of the Nevervault, invents his laser screwdriver, and has some really cool sounding adventures. The Master disguises himself as a Dr. Keller, tries to possess an ancient power, presumably fails to do so, but he does pick up a companion named Cole Jarnish. The Master tries to implement a plan to basically change the timeline so that the Time War never happened, but he fails, and that has major consequences for him and his companion. Scared and tired of fighting, he sent his TARDIS away to Gallifrey without him and used a chameleon arch of his to turn himself into a human baby, intending to eventually resume control once the Time War had ended, if there was a universe left to save. Wow, a lot went down. And now we come to a TV episode that is possibly my favorite Master episode from the point of view of making things canon. The Master is found as a fully human child on the shores of the Silver Devastation with only a fob watch to his name. He never opens the fob watch because there's a perception filter around it. So he becomes a professor because he's still got a lot of Time Lord intelligence, even though he can't remember who he is. And he ends up working on a rocket project to basically save the last of humanity, which is pretty cool and unmasterly. He works on this project with his assistant Chantho, and it's there that he ends up meeting the 10th Doctor, Martha, and Captain Jack. Captain Jack Harkness, not the pirate. The perception filter starts to rub off, ultimately cause the Master to be like, I should open this, and he does. And all of his memories are returned to him, and he becomes the Master once again. He electrocutes his assistant Chantho, and he turns around to, go into the TARDIS, and Chantho, in their last dying breath, shoots him, and that starts to cause him to regenerate. The Master locks himself in the Doctor's TARDIS and regenerates, turning into a younger and stronger Master. He's now the 18th incarnation of the Master with 8 new regenerations left and at least 2 that we know for sure. This Master is now played by John Simm, and he travels back to Earth, and disguises himself as Harold Saxon. This guy does well for himself, gets married, elected prime minister, as you do, and generally causes a ton of trouble for the Doctor and Martha and Captain Jack and all of the Earth. Suffice it to say, he's defeated by Martha Jones mainly, and also Captain Jack Harkness and the Doctor. And I quote, "Defeated, he refused to regenerate despite the Doctor and died in his arms. The Doctor burned the Master's body on a pyre. Long after he had left, Miss Trefusis, one of the warders of Broadfell Prison, retrieved the Master's ring from his funeral pyre. 2 years later, this ring, along with a biometric imprint taken from the Master's wife, is used by a group of the Master's followers to resurrect him. However, during this process, the Master's wife, Lucy, and one of the other followers in the group have smuggled in a potion of death, and Lucy hurls it on him. They all die in the explosion that follows, which is crazy, but the Master survives. Sort of. He's in bad shape. He's constantly hungry, his body is failing, and it occasionally flickers between him and this blue skeletal form. On the plus side though, he's now able to leap buildings in a single bound. Or at least he has really enhanced agility, and he can shoot like this bioelectrical blue energy from his hands. Loads of stuff goes down. The Master basically takes over the world and puts his face on everybody. I know, it's weird, but hey, whatever floats your maniacal Time Lord boat. And then, receiving contact from the Time Lord High Council on the last day of the Time War, the Master tore open the time lock on the war, bringing back the Time Lords, including Rassilon. They arrive, the Master announces that he wants to, I think the words are, transplant himself on Time Lord society just like he did with human society. And, Rassilon's not up for that. Instead, Rassilon reverses the Master's transformation of humanity. Then Rassilon reveals, among other things, that he planted the drumming in the Master's head, this drumming that's been with him since William Hughes, and then he prepares to execute the Master. The Doctor steps in to save the Master, and when Rassilon prepares to execute him, among other things, the Master then steps in to save the Doctor. The Master shoots Rassilon with his energy bolts in a really cool 1, 2, 3, 4 way that's just, The Time Lords Gallifrey and the Master then vanished in a burst of white light and were sent back into the hell of the final day of the Time War. The Master was able to survive his encounter with Rassilon, though Rassilon still regenerated after the Master choked him with several white point stars. After his condition was cured by the Time Lords, because apparently when you choke the ultimate Time Lord leader, it sort of gives you free healthcare for a day. His condition was cured by the Time Lords, and the Master escaped Gomer's asylum, blowing up the war room in the process, that's in the Prose Lords and Masters, and left Gallifrey in his TARDIS, seeing his departure as a mutual kicking out. Spoilers for the Series 10 finale up ahead. Eventually, the Master landed on a Mondasian colony ship which was experiencing time dilation. Attempting to escape, but being too close to the event horizon, the Master burned out his TARDIS's dematerialization circuit, stranding him on the colony ship. The Master then discovers the Doctor's presence and spies on him, where he sees a curious companion, Missy. Studying the woman traveling with the Doctor, Missy, the Master eventually deduced that it was his own future incarnation trying to turn good. Becoming concerned about his future, the Master lured Bill into surgery for full cyber conversion, knowing that the Doctor would never forgive him for it. Watching as the Doctor, Nardole, and Missy arrived, the Master revealed his identity to Missy, and the two of them gloated to the Doctor about the fate of his companion. But then things go south for Missy and the Master and the Doctor. It all climaxes when the Doctor implores the Master to stand with him in battle to save the people there, simply because it was the right thing to do. The Master refuses and he leaves with Missy. As they prepare to depart, Missy offered to hug the Master, and after stating her enjoyment for being him, she stabbed the Master in the back, mortally wounding him in order to force his regeneration into her. However, Missy made the wound precise so that the Master would have time to reach his TARDIS before the regeneration occurred. By the way, she had previously given him a spare dematerialization circuit that she remembered giving him so that he could actually escape in his TARDIS. The Master asks Missy to explain herself, and she tells him that she plans to stand with the Doctor and that it was this moment that their entire lives have been leading up to. Boy, does that make him mad. The Master then presumably gets back to his TARDIS and regenerates into, surprise, a woman, Missy. Okay, so Missy's now in existence, but Missy doesn't really have any memory of how she regenerated or the circumstances of having built a Cyberman army for all that time because of interacting with her past self. So she's now the 19th incarnation of the Master with 7 new regenerations left, at least one regeneration left that we know of. At this point, and I quote, "The Master adopted her name into Missy, short for mistress, given to her by an 18th century woman named Saffron. She also managed to acquire a vortex manipulator, which she used for time travel on a few occasions at least. Missy finally met the 12th Doctor and Clara at one of 3W's mausoleums, which was hidden inside St. Paul's Cathedral, with dimensional engineering. Initially posing as an android and sharing a kiss with a very confused Doctor, that's an interesting step in their relationship. She revealed her true identity to him as the Cybermen marched out onto the streets of London. Perhaps it was their team up during the end of time, or subconscious memories of John Simm seeing her stand with the Doctor in the future, but Missy's relationship with the Doctor was on a much more friendly basis from this point onwards. Now, don't get me wrong, she'd still try to kill, and sometimes did kill the Doctor's companions, doing terrible things, but she'd also save him sometimes and help him. She seemed intent on showing the Doctor that they were the same. At one point, Missy is shot by a freshly converted Cyberman, but she just used a blast from the Cyberman gun to charge her time vortex and teleport her away, making it look like she'd disintegrated to ash. Missy was left on a crumbling city in Skaro, presumably to her death. However, she did tell nearby Daleks that she had a really clever idea to get out of this one. And I quote, "One Gallifreyan believed that after she escaped the Daleks on Skaro, Missy went back to Gallifrey and told Rassilon that the Doctor knew about the hybrid. After she was captured by an unnamed species on an unnamed planet, Missy was sentenced to death. In accordance with their fatality index, the 12th Doctor was chosen to carry out the sentence. However, he sabotaged the execution machine so that she was knocked unconscious instead of being killed. Swearing an oath to guard Missy's body for 1,000 years, the Doctor scared the executioners away and had Nardole place her inside a quantum fold chamber. The Doctor and Nardole transported the vault to St. Luke's University, where they continued to guard it. Missy did help save the Doctor on one occasion in the Empress of Mars and do some repairs on the TARDIS that did require some trust, and she continued to show sadness for the deaths she caused. To test Missy's goodness, the Doctor recruited Bill and Nardole to be her companions and followed a distress signal to a colony ship while the Doctor monitored Missy's progress from the TARDIS. However, Missy was ill-prepared to handle a frightened crew member, George, who subsequently shot Bill, a man called Razor, who, upon confrontation, revealed himself to be her past self, who Missy appeared to join forces with for the genesis of the Cybermen. That's in World Enough and Time. However, when the Cybermen turned on them, Missy knocked the Master down and claimed to have been playing him while still on the Doctor's side, but then admitted to being unsure of her allegiance. She stabs the Master in the back, mortally wounding him in order to force him to regenerate into her, the John Simm Master. Like, he's furious at this point, and he'd rather die than see his future self join forces with the Doctor, or rather, he'd rather they'd die. So he pulls out his laser screwdriver, kicks it up to full power, shoots Missy, and mortally wounds her to the point where she cannot regenerate. And then they're both like laughing on the ground, dying, and like, wow, of course this is the way we go out, we kill each other. Wow, should have seen that one coming. And that is where we leave the Master. Presumably dead, dying as Missy, but as with the Master, you just never know. Comment down below with your best ideas on how to explain the Master's continuity. If you want to grow your knowledge collection and connection with other Doctor Who fans, then definitely consider subscribing for new videos every single week. My name is Alex Patterson, and a big thanks to TARDIS Wikia and IceLord99 for suggesting this. And thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!